Hello everyone, welcome to my section, Lessons Learned from Disney Plus Inspired Visual Storytelling in Power BI. I'm happy to present at the Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2024 in Saudi Arabia. And this is my first presentation at this conference, and I'm happy to share my insights with you. Why actually Disney topic? Well, because last year in 2023, there was a significant anniversary of Disney, and I think this topic could match to my presentation. First of all, a few words about myself. My name is Roman. I'm a senior data analyst at Avanade. I'm a data adventurer, Power BI geek, enthusiast, and workshop trainer, coming originally from Ukraine, but since for the last 5 years, based in Frankfurt am Main in Germany. My area of expertise mostly Power BI, OpenAI, everything related to Azure, Databricks, Synapse, visual storytelling. Of course, nowadays Microsoft Fabric is a big topic, and general big data analytics. And in my free time, I enjoy flying some drones. Like I use cinematic drones as well as an FPV drones. But coming back to the uh, storytelling and power. During this session, we will explore following topics. First of all, the data visualization, the key to Disney Plus success. We'll begin to examine how effective data visualization techniques apply to the Disney streaming platform, and we will see how it has played the crucial role to attract so much attention and users to use this streaming platform. Afterwards, we will discuss the specific examples, how they are using the visualization, and to make informed decisions and to enhance user experience. We will also delve into the principles of good data visualization and how those principles could be applied at the various levels of Power BI reporting. Afterwards, I will show you a Power BI sample report, which I developed and which demonstrates and uses some of those techniques which I applied to my report to create a story out of the raw data. And I will walk you through the steps, how I created this report, highlight the best practices in data modeling, visualization, and design aesthetics. And afterwards, there will be Q&A session where you can ask some questions, and yeah, we can discuss about it. And then there will be also the feedback form, which I highly recommend you to fill up because it will help me to improve my session, and we can discuss the topic if you have any particular question. Basically, the goal of this session is to provide the practical insights and hands-on techniques that you can apply in your visualization projects. So there is no like a common solution for all the problems, but I hope for the beginner user, or if you have some experience, you will be able to get some takeaways, and hopefully it helps you with your reporting. And first of all, why storytelling? And in the digital age, we face constant competition for the people attention. If we are designing a streaming platform or creating a Power BI report. And quite often when we just get the first request and to visualize some report, to create a report, visualize some data, quite often at the first step, we get the data, which doesn't matter what the client says. They might say that the data is perfect. They might say that there are just some small, tiny adjustments, transformations are needed. But in 99% of my experience, it looks something like this. We could see there is a lot of data, which is sometimes structured, sometimes not, but there is no real uh, structure how or like the vision what the client wants. And when we start working with this data, connecting to the different data sources, do some basic transformation, then like if we sort and we organize the data a bit, then it looks something like this. You could see it's already a bit better. It's easier to work with it. You could see it's sorted some different categories and like something what might not be necessary pre-filtered. And yeah, so that's already a bit more organized and cleaned version, but still it doesn't give you any value. The next step, when we start to present visually and start to discuss with the client the possible outputs, the options for visualization and so on, there are already a few drafts and mockups, and then the client say that yes, that's possible, that's what they want to see, and that need to guide the client to the possible solutions, provide several options for the visualization. But our goal is to have something like this. So we need to get the meaning from the data. So we need to collect the most important aspects of the data available and to build a house out of multiple visuals like bar charts, column charts, line charts, and so on. And this house should be also be easily maintained, and it should have the value and especially developed for the particular end user. So that's why it's so important to talk to the end user and discuss what they really want. Do they want to have like a one floor house, two floor house, like do they want to have a garage, so on? And it's also applied to the data. It's important not to visualize everything possible, not to use, by often you don't even need all the data available, and you need to get that's the most important KPIs and the most important visuals which apply to your particular story. Let's come back to the topic of the Disney. First of all, when we land at any kind of streaming platform, what are we going to see? We are going to see this kind of an overview of personalized profiles. What does it mean? So Disney is using this technique to not overwhelm the user with a number of choices and pre-filter the information which is going to be seen at the next step by using those profiles. And quite often, it helps a lot to improve the user experience because the person who set up these profiles already knows what he or she is going to see at the next step. And it also could be applied at the Power BI level. You can also use those pre-selected profiles, depends on the category, who is the using the report, because there are quite often multiple users and they might be interested in a different level of information. And of course, those profiles could be adjusted, depends on the client needs, and there could be the different reporting requirements. But that's a very important thing, that the first landing page should not be overwhelmed with the graphics, KPIs, and such kind of information. So because the first page, it's a kind of a navigation, and we need to think about the users who might not be able, who have never probably seen this report before, or they have no idea about the data, but we need to prepare them what they are going to see. And this is the purpose of the first page. In this example, the personalized profiles at the streaming platform. As soon as we select our profile, the next thing, we are going to see the big eye catcher at the top, which is again based on the algorithms, and it's adjusted to the person who selected this profile. And we could see that it's repeating and it's changing, but it gives you like an overview what is possible to see. And like that's the most probably like, based on this algorithm, or you can also pre-build it and seeing that this is probably the most important information for this user, and they are focusing on this top banner. The next thing we could see those 5 categories in the tiles, and those are like the most important. There could be like the most important KPIs or the most important visualizations that the client might be interested in. And as soon as we move on, we could see that those tiles they are quite big in the size. Those are like just top 6 categories. There are no the big list of the table of all the available information. It's more like it helps to spot the most important KPIs and to realize for the end user if this is what he or she is really looking in, if their KPIs are doing well, or if there is some additional attention and additional investigation is needed. But again, at the second page, we don't overwhelm it. We could see there are a lot of empty spaces between the KPIs, in this case, the tiles and the visuals, and it gives you just the limited option. Is of course the opportunity to navigate into more details and find more information on demand if you really need this. The next thing, what is attracting the attention of GC, and this is like pre-filtered categories. Whenever we click or whenever we see, there is always like pre-filtered category. Most streamed pictures, most received the awards, and the most popular cartoons in this case, for example, in Germany, or could be anywhere else. But it's very important that there are categories which are pre-filtered, and we always see top 10. We never see that there is like the whole list of the movies available on the Disney platform, because that would be just too much. And in this case, we could see these pre-filtered categories. We could see more details, but on demand. The next thing, what also attracts the attention, which is quite common for the streaming platform, but not only for the Disney, is also common for the Netflix or any kind of Apple and so on, any kind of a streaming platform, they're using the dark mode. Why that? Because that's how our brain works. If we don't have a lot of information, it's and there are like big tiles on them as used as a visualization on the dark background, it helps us to spot this particular KPIs and those tiles much better. And then we can focus on that a bit longer time. Of course, not always it's possible to use dark mode for the client needs, but it's a very nice technique which makes your reports stand out and look a bit different to the others. And also, it helps to focus on particular KPIs if there are not many of them available. And in this particular case, if we are using those pre-selected, pre-filtered categories, it has place to be used. The next thing, if we talk about the navigation, of course, in most of the cases, the end user will not be satisfied just with the top 5 KPIs or top indicators and so on, and they need to be able to navigate. And of course, quite often the requests to have those numerous number of slicers and filters be able to navigate through the data, because quite often, especially the users on the management level, they got used to the Excel and the similar tools where the filters is the base and what is used for. And that is also available in Power BI, but for the successful development of the report, or like we could see in this case of the streaming platform, these slicers and thus navigations are available, but they are not like overwhelming the report itself. And they are quite often like hidden somewhere in the top or the left side. And when you highlight them, you are able to search and navigate through your data. But it's not like half of your report or the half of the uh, visualization and the streaming platform is this navigation, because that's not the point of the report. The point is to see the data. But of course, on demand, you need to be able to navigate. You could post it in the top, or you can put it on the left side, because that's where our attention is focused the most. And of course, there are also like techniques with the bookmarks, so on. You can hide them and hide on demand. But like to have it minimalistic and give the option to the user to navigate through the data they really need. The next thing, what is quite significant, at least for me, when I use this kind of streaming platform, I really like this feature when you highlight something without even need to click and go to the next page. It gives me the preview for time, like a few seconds, like I think it's usually like until 10 seconds, and it gives you a preview of the data. And it gives an option to spot the most important information and to kind of give me time to think, do I really want to watch this kind of cartoon or the movie or documentary if it's really interesting for me? And this kind of thing could be also used in Power BI with a lot of options. Like you can use tooltips for that, or you can do the drill through instrument. And that also can help you to navigate through your KPIs. Even with the limited pre-selected options, you can go into more detail level on demand by highlighting the main KPIs. Maybe there are some of them which need more attention, which is also could be clarified with the colors. And we will see an example how it could be achieved in Power BI. But important feature, preview for time saving. No need to click, go to navigate to another report, going back. Just with the highlight option, you might be able to get the important information that you really need. The next thing, what I also already mentioned, there is always this top 10 option of most streamed pictures, of most interesting KPIs, and so on. It's highly recommended. For the general overview, always use top 10 or top down KPIs, and that gives the end user the feeling what needs the most attention. And then, of course, on demand, they can expand this list and then they can get more information. But for the first look, this is most of the cases, this is highly appreciated by the client to be able to see the top 10 or top down performance, for example. That being said, let's check some common techniques that Disney is using as to summarize what we have just seen. Just to confirm that the top left corner get attention first. This is like the well common fact by a lot of science of the visualization, a lot of research. Most of them, they say like the top left corner gets the most attention and it gets the attention first. That's why it's highly recommended to put the most important information. Like for example, sure if it's important for you, but yeah, quite often clients they request to have their logo, or like the request to see the information when the report last time was updated, and some navigation option. So that's whatever is really important, or the top KPIs that's really significant for the client, they need to be put on the top left, and going from left to right, and then basically, as you could see on this image the priority one. Let's try to keep this priority one square just for the most important information. Then that the priority decreases, then you can expand the square, and as you could see, like the least attention, it's on the right bottom corner, and that's where we could put some also navigation to the next page, for example, or any kind of information which is the least important. It could be least important to the end user. Just to confirm this fact, there is a lot of research by Google, which also relevant to the reporting and so on, because it's all about getting the user attention. And what they basically say, that most people don't read the page. When people open the report or open the web page, open the streaming platform, they don't see and don't read like every single title and every single data point available. There's like human, that's how we are. We scan the page and we basically perceive only 28% of text on the page. That's why it's so important to minimize as much as possible the data available, because it's not going to be read in the end. More than 30%, more than 60% is going to be ignored in the first look. And to follow this technique of like F shape, to put the most important information at the top and left top corner, and then as soon as we go down, to consider those priorities, the information that you are disclosing to the end user. That's why the navigation and the most important KPIs could be positioned on the top or the left. This is where they're gonna get the most attention. The next thing, people won't look past the first search result. That's also related to the Google research. And that's why it's also confirming that you need to put just in the first two or three results and the most important information. Otherwise, it's going to be lost, and it's not going to be spotted by the client. If there's really something important, always try to put like top 10 at the top. And or for example, if there is something is not performing well, the top bottom also can go to the top. Depends on the needs. And to make it this way, that the user no need to go further down to the page to get the information they need. The perfect search engine gives the results for the end user, and that's why those pre-selected filters are so important, and giving an option for the end user to perform the least work as possible and to get as much as possible information from the report. And that's this way Google, that's why they are quite successful. That's why they are putting so much effort on this kind of user experience. As I already said, that the left side of the page gets the most attention, get more attention than the right side. And that's confirmed by the many web and streaming platform researches. So that 80% of the time, humans are looking at the left half of the page. And another 20% they're spending on the right side. That's probably related to the way that most people read. They read from left to right, but it depends, of course. And if you have like vertical menus, it's highly recommended to put it on the left side, and navigation and so on. That's will help the user to find, like you see in this example, to find this information in the fastest way as possible. And also, as we could see, like what Disney uses, there is the technique which called like a clutter is your enemy. So it's highly recommended to leverage the white spaces. And if you have some free spaces available in your report, there is nothing bad about it. It's if you preserve the margins and don't stretch the graphics to fill the space or to fill it up with some unnecessary information, just put what you really need, and it will help you a lot. It will help the end user not to be overwhelmed, and it will also give you the space for the extra visualization if it's needed. If there is some space for improvement, for putting some extra navigation, if it's really required, it's highly recommended to use just the top tiles that are really important, and it's better to kind of divide it between the users what one user is interested in, then another user is interested in, into different pages, then put everything in one and then hope and give this kind of job to the end user. We need to work as much as possible to make the end user less work. This is kind of the rule. But don't forget about the extra spaces, which give much better user experience, like we could see in this example of the streaming platform. Just to finalize this kind of analysis, very fast, I really like this guy, Antoine-Marie Saint-Exupéry. He was a French writer and poet, journalist, and he also was the quite famous pilot. And basically what he said that you know that you achieve the perfection not when you have nothing more to add, but when you have nothing to take away. And that's basically he formulated in I think it's a poem, Armen Odyssey, and we could see that this kind of technique is used highly by most of the visual designers and the storytellers. And it's highly important to highlight the important stuff and put and use under your report only the important things that the end user is interested in. Eliminate the distractions. If you have those kind of distractions, then try to remove them. And if you are not sure if the user need it or not, rather remove it and then put it on demand, then to overwhelm your user with the possible navigations and the visuals and the KPIs. And quite often, last but not least, create a clear hierarchy of information. What does it mean? It means just give an option to navigate to the additional information when it's really needed. And this could be achieved with a drill through, drill down, and it could be achieved with the tooltips. It could be achieved with the many navigation options like bookmarks and so on. But you need to create a clear hierarchy of information, starting with a little information, but the most significant one, and then going down, and getting, of course, in the end to those massive tables of information and numerous of KPIs, but there should be clear hierarchy of the most important information and then on demand the information which is important, which is needed. And that being said, let's see the report. Let's analyze the report that I created using these kind of techniques. So it's just an example, very simple, but I think it could be applied to any possible solutions. Basically, when my user start the application or like goes to the report, what they're gonna see? They're gonna see like this kind of landing page, which gives the navigation and some text question, which helps the user understand what they are going to experience afterwards. So the question is, which metric would you like to analyze? This is like some sales report, which could be analyzed on the store sales level, on the district level, or the stores itself. So it could be like for different users. For example, one profile, this is the CEO, who is interested in the sales overview to understand the overall health and performance of his or her business. And the second option, second profile, is the regional manager. They are able to look at the overall performance within their region and identify the high performing stores areas where this improvement is needed. It's more detailed information. And the last but not least, there is a store development team, and this team is directly involved in the launch of new stores and would like to understand how those particular stores are performing. And of course, each of those profiles, they're able to navigate to different levels of the information, but this kind of a first overview gives them the recommendation and suggests them to see what they might be interested to look at. So CEO gets like the general overview of the information. The regional manager gets more detailed information on the regional level. And if we talk about the store development team, they more might be interested into stores, like the most detailed information possible. And yeah, let's pretend that we are CEO and we are interested in the general information. So when we click here, we are going to see that all the stores, new stores, and the old stores available, in this case, the data set is from United States, and we could see the map of the United States is a big banner on the top, which helps us to spot, okay, where were the new stores or where our business is mostly operating. We see it's like in East Coast. Then we also have this option to do some navigation, but the next thing what is attracting our attention, we could see those KPIs. Those KPIs help us to spot the top 4 cities and top 4 categories and to analyze if they were above the goal with the color. We could see if they are not reaching the goal yet, they're gonna be having this red color and kind of attracts our attention directly. And then if we highlight it, we can see why they are not performing well. We can get a bit more details, some variance, and to see some different dynamics between the different periods. And we could see this year and last year sales, and the goal we could see here. In this case, Charleston has like 11.2% below the goal. Probably this could need more attention and more investigation for the CEO, in this case, to discover this information. The same for this and North Canton, for this city as well. Here we could see what I used as a tooltip. I used a GIF that is dynamic. It's also possible to use the dynamic tooltips. Depends on the personal preferences. It could be there are use cases for some learning purposes or to help user to navigate through your report. Me personally, I prefer more static, where I can highlight and I could focus a bit more on the data. But nevertheless, the GIF option is also possible, and there are also use cases for that. And we could see for different categories, we could see different analysis, and we could see, for example, for top 4 categories like men, shoes, home, or groceries, we could see also some of them are below the goal, or some of them, like home accessories, they are already above the goal with the blue color. And it's also possible to navigate and get more information if required, but most probably we're going to be focused on the ones which have some issues and which are below the goal. We can also, if we are interested in this kind of information, we can go drill down and to see this information in details, in particular, based on the particular city. But if we are not interested in that, we can go and see the information itself, the general overview of the district sales, but there always should be an opportunity to navigate. And as soon as we are interested in the store sales, and this could be the information for the store sale manager, we get more detail. We already could see the history, we could see the forecasting and so on. And we could see the variance between this year and the last year. And we could see that this information more detailed than one we discovered before. And there are also more options for navigation. We can already select the physical months. We could select the chain, which we are interested in, or we could select the different categories and to analyze the categories independently. And there is also possibility to navigate with Power BI Q&A option, so we could see some kind of, ask the Power BI some information, what is the total store sales by different cities, by different categories, and so on. And with this like AI options, we could get this kind of information. Again, on demand, if we're really interested, we can play with it and ask some additional information. But here we could see and navigate through the store sales, doing the comparison, which could be relevant for the store sales manager. As soon as we are done with this kind of information, we can move to the next level. We can see the new stores analysis. So the district sales, and we could see how the stores are doing on this year and the last year. We could see the total sales variance comparing to the fiscal months this year and the last year, different chain and regions, and we could also see that level of details. We could see the managers of the particular stores. Again, with the color navigation, like we could see here, that if something last year was doing better than this year in comparison, we could see the highlight, and the color helps us to navigate. Or in this case, for example, we have a significant increase this year compared to the last year, 216%. That also spots us directly our attention to the total sales variance. If the number is too high, the color is given this kind of experience, and then we could see, okay, this manager probably is doing well, and another manager needs some additional attention. And this kind of information is on demand, is provided. You can also see some increase and decrease in the different categories per month, and we could also filter the information and spot the most important information when there was significant increase or significant decrease. This is like just a general overview of the report, how it could be designed. Of course, there is no limit of the creativity. That was my vision. I used those kind of colors. Of course, there could be different colors, but you could see I also used just the few main colors like red, blue, and the dark background, not overwhelming the user with the different colors. The color is used for purpose, and there are, I think it's easy, more or less easy to spot the most important information and to navigate to the KPIs and the strengths that could be important for the client. And just to sum it up, I prepared a few main recommendations based on my experience of designing the reports, or like we can combine it with a streaming platform experience. Basically, the rule number one suggestion and the tip: keep scrolling workout and use personalized profiles, pre-filled categories. Try to avoid the scrolling option and try to pre-filter the information before the end user ends up on their report, and then it gives them the best user experience of getting the real information that they need and not being overwhelmed with unnecessary information which might be relevant for other users. The second tip is leverage white spaces. Basically, if you have some empty space between your visuals. There is nothing bad about it. It gives the place for possible improvements and to add more visuals on demand, but also not overwhelm the user with unnecessary information that they might not be interested in. The third thing is they use big tiles and eye catcher, basically to show the main KPIs, to show like a goal or like was the goal achieved or not. It's a very nice technique to use the big KPI cards, or like as an eye catcher that could be map or could be any kind of big bar chart which shows the general overview. The one more thing that I personally use a lot and I like to include to my reports tooltips, which are time saver for efficient reviews, but again, do not overwhelm your report with so many tooltips, because that could be also a bit of confusing for the user, and maybe need some time to explain the user or to include some kind of guidance how the tooltips could be used. But there are a lot of options, like you can include tooltips, bookmarks, and so on, drill through options. And the last but not least, dark mode is the secret weapon for the distraction-free focus. In my opinion, if you have a dark mode, it helps to dark theme helps to navigate and spot the significant changes in the data, or like some outstanding measures if we have a dark mode. But of course, it depends on the preference of the client. Most of the cases, they prefer to have like a standard view. And then, of course, we need to use that. But if you have an option to choose, just give it a try and check what is the feedback from the client. And last but not least, there are a few sources that I wanted to share with you that can improve your storytelling and the visualization techniques. First, the storytelling with data. You could see there is also a website from Cole Nussbaumer Knaflik. There is a blog focused on communicating effectively with data and contains many examples, visual makeovers, and ongoing dialogue. I think there is also a book about it, how to improve your visualization. Highly recommend it because it's written in a very simple language with nice examples and some practical tips how to improve the visualization techniques. The second one, it's called Katapult magazine for cartographic, and it's like a German magazine for the information. So it's just like a kind of a news, but done in a very nice and it's presented in an infographic and a visual way. So it's not like a lot about text and not a lot about writing some articles. It's like to give you an overview of the most important information in the visual way. And I think it's kind of unique, and the way they're doing it, it's could help a lot to improve the visualization techniques. The next one, it's Help Me With. It's basically the website, which allows you to submit the visuals and get the feedback and scan some examples of, you could see it's like a forum where you can upload the visuals if you have some doubts, or if you're stuck a bit, you don't know how this kind of information could be presented. I highly recommend to use this website, where you can get some support from the community, from people who have a bit more experience, or they have maybe different view, and it can help you to get the most out of your data. Then also a nice website, Make Powerful Point. It's a fun and easy digest content on creating the given presentation and presenting the data. And it's not only related to Power BI, it could be also PowerPoint or any kind of presentation you are doing. And the last but not least, it's WGF Visualizations. It's basically a database where store the visualizations from the real life scenarios, from the newspapers, TV, and so on. but done in a very bad way. So it's not like there is, you can learn a lot how you should not do and present your data, find a lot of results, and find a lot of samples. So not just learning from the best, but learning how not to do it from some not very good and successful examples. And last but not least, I already mentioned, I really appreciate your feedback. If you have your thoughts, if you have some suggestions how my session could be improved, if you can tell me what you really like the most or what you didn't like, I would be really happy to hear your feedback. You can scan this QR code and then provide me the feedback directly, or you can contact me in LinkedIn and then or write me an email, and I'm happy to discuss any Power BI related topics. And yeah, of course, if it's related to visual storytelling and visualization related to my topic, it will be great. But if not, just give me an email and or we can stay in contact. Hopefully you enjoyed my session. And thanks for joining and watching. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.